Good morning, everybody. And here's my garden buddy. Good morning. This is Shannon from Nana's Workshop, and welcome to Garden Talk. This morning, I am going to talk to you about tropicals, overwintering, hardscapes, and I'm going to give you a tour of the garden and show you what's growing in the garden today. The last bit of rain and the humidity, the tropicals are doing wonderful and the daylilies are blooming. They look gorgeous. It's just a wonderful, beautiful morning in the garden today. So, first of all, I want to talk to you about tropicals. Excuse me. If you live in a climate such as Nebraska, Nebraska is a zone 4/5. You have to dig those tropicals up because they will not overwinter in the ground. They will rot. So what I do here at Nana's is I dig them up. One bulb will produce a massive clump of bulbs. So I dig up those cannas and I lay them out in the driveway and let them dry off. I clean all the dirt, I spray all the dirt off, and then I let them dry out. I cut that foliage off and I take those clumps and I break them apart and I put them in a cardboard box in the basement on the north side where it's kind of cool, but yet it's still warm enough where those bulbs aren't going to freeze. The same goes with elephant ears. They don't really produce more bulbs as fast as the cannas do, but they still do, and you can still pull them apart. Same thing, wash that dirt off the bulb and the roots and cut the foliage off, let them dry out a little bit more, and put them in a cardboard box to let them dry out. Now, the banana plant that I have, I think I've had it for 2 years now, and I dig that up, and I wash those roots off, and I cut that foliage off, but I leave about a good, I would say 8 to 10 inches of that plant, but I cut off the leafy parts, and I let that all dry out. So then that dries out in the box, the same kind of box. If you have multiples, you can have separate boxes for your separate varieties of plants. So then I want to talk about hardscapes. Hardscapes is a great addition to gardens, which are anything from rocks or pergolas, arbors, metalwork, any kind of little decorative things, and you'll see a couple of mine out here, even cement statues. The arbors and the pergolas are a great way to add shade to an area if you have no trees and you want shade plants. Your statues are a great addition to add if you have a themed garden, like mine is somewhat an oriental type style, so I have statues that reflect that. And when I first did my garden, probably 80% of my plants were oriental named, like Korean maple or Korean viburnum, things like that. And so and some of those have died away and I've replaced them with new ones. So other things that you can add as interest, just anything. I love metalwork. I love the metal flowers, and I think I have a couple of them out there. I just added one that looks like a delphinium, and it's really pretty and upright. Other things, let's go back to the overwintering. I have other plants, like say the potted plants that you love so well. Most of them can be overwintered. If you have a porch that has a heater or a vent, and you just make sure you water that. You want to back off on the water, not as much as you did during the growing season out in the garden, because you don't want to get a rot. So let that pot completely dry out in situations just like that, and then water it. I mean, don't soak it, just trickle your water in there. You're not going to want to fertilize as often either. I would wait and maybe fertilize. I fertilize every other month. That's just my suggestion. I will overwinter potato vine. I will over passion flower vine. Now I've done that. I've dug up the whole plant and cut down the vines, the branches, and put a little cage over top of that and repotted that nicely and put that in my porch. And then I bring it back out in the spring and I replant that whole plant. And that saves me from buying another one. But I love these flowers and they're just gorgeous. I have two varieties and they're so hard to find. And so I get to see that every year after year after year. And the key thing about overwintering is that you want to make sure that if it's a porch or a sunroom, that it gets sun. Make sure that you're putting your plants that like sun on the sunny side. If you have shade plants, put them on the shade side, just like you do outside. But you're going to water less and you're going to fertilize less, because you want that plant to somewhat spring back to life in spring. As soon as you bring it out, you fertilize it, bring it out, and plant it. And so that's it. I have some fig trees here that I overwinter. I love setting these out on the deck. They're kind of a nice little addition. And I was trying to trim them up and tease them a little bit. They're fun to do, very easy to do. Get that back on there. But succulents, any kinds of that, you bring them in and put them on your porch. I have amaryllis that I have 3 kinds of amaryllis, and I will bring them out during the growing season and set them out on the deck. They're not going to flower, but they're just going to grow. Then in a couple months, I'm going to put them down in the basement and let them all die back, and then bringing them up about, actually I probably will be bringing them in the basement soon, because then I want to bring them back out probably like October, and they're going to grow in November. They're going to grow my flower, that amarilla flower then. And then I'll have the beautiful flowers for either Thanksgiving or Christmas. So let's go see what is all growing in the garden today. I'll show you I'll flip it around, my messy planting table. The bittersweet vine have just provided an awesome shade on my pergola. There is a Clematis. I can't wait for that to start blooming. But here is the shade area. Several different styles. I have a canna there stuck in the corner. Several different styles of hostas. I added some fern this year. Impatience for a little pop of color of that red back in there. If you can see it underneath in the plants. I tuck them in there because some of those plants will die back and you want some color. Some corabels, astilbe, all shade plants. I have some elephant ears over there, getting going well. This one just shot up. So here, this is talk about the metal flower. There's one right there that I was talking about. But here are some of the daylilies that are popping up and blooming beautifully. I love this double orange. Yellow and purple. I believe this is a red one that should be, it's a late bloomer. And the blazing star is starting to bloom. I deadheaded my roses, so they're starting to have their second round of blooms. I also want to talk to you about stress on a plant. And you can see this on some of mine. It's heat stress. The temperatures here lately have just been, I think it's been one of the hottest years. And so my plants are getting very, very stressed. But it's the leaves. They're fine. The roots are going to be fine. They're going to be perfect next year. Tucked right in there is my banana plant, and I'm hoping that he gets a little bit taller. I had one a few years ago that I probably had for quite some time, and before the last year it probably got about 8 foot tall. Here's some more shade, another shade area. Then my coneflowers, this is a lime green color, that stays that color. I have a white and purple. There's my Monarda back there, that's a Jacob Klein. Another blazing star right here, I think that's a white one. And then this is an aster, I believe it's a pink. And I threw some fillers in, some alyssum, some vinca. There's beautiful, beautiful garden phlox today. I even threw some potato vine in there for some ground cover. And my cannas are starting to get tall. So hopefully I'll get my new window on my garage sometime this week. Here's my passion flower vines, and I see they are going to be blooming soon. There's one. That's exciting. I love this plant. I just love it. That's one variety, so I can't wait to show you the beautiful red daylilies over there. And then here is Sweet Autumn Clematis. See the heat. I know this is a hosta, but it is designed to take some of the sun, but it's the heat that it's not doing well with. And we'll go around, we'll come back through. Pretty wild. They volunteer petunias along here. I don't mind that a bit. They're very pretty. It's an overall look at, there's my Jack Manny Clematis. It's blooming. It's late. Usually it's blooming in April. See the stress? The heat stress. Yes. Oh, I need to pick that up. These morning primrose, I love them. These are just so pretty. I love that deep red color. So we'll go around. I think I hear a wren somewhere. She's a-singing. But there is my bittersweet and my wisteria. I'm waiting for it to bloom some year. They say it takes a while. I was deadheading this morning, so I have my bucket of stuff. I thinned out a few things, trimmed down a few things. This daylily here really took a toll from the heat. I'm almost thinking of cutting it down pretty soon. And there's some pretty yellow daylilies over there. I think that's my ruffled ones. I added some geraniums here to fill in this area because I took out a plant. The last video I was planting a butterfly bush and it bloomed already, and that was just, I want to say, a week ago. Yes, the heat stress has really taken a toll. Look at the rose. But it'll bounce back. Some pretty, more daylilies. Asters. There's a peachy pink color daylily. And Coreopsis. Always pretty in the garden. There's some pretty orange Coleus. coneflower. I have variations of coneflower in here. This is the sunniest garden spot, so I have trying to move my coneflower over to this area. It's gonna do the best. Now this is another daylily. I think it's another red variety. Is that so? Yes. He's such a baby. This daylily is amazing. It's just beautiful. This area over here, well, here's another shade area. And I put some impatiens in there for fillers. My cannas are growing nicely. Oh, as you can see that I forgot to pick up I trimmed out some plants back here and I forgot to pick them up. In the pond, I have some king tut, and I forget the variety name of that, but they're great just to stick straight in the water. You can even stick a canna in there, and because they're considered a bog plant, and I will talk about those on another episode. But here's my messy area. The cannas I planted, they're getting tall, and then the elephant ears in between, and I added, the petunias are not doing the best. I put wave petunias in between, but I also added sweet potato vine just to kind of fill in that area for this year. I'll be reworking that next year. I'm not sure what I want to do here yet, but so let me go back and I'll show you a shot from, hopefully, not in the sun. We're gonna get sun no matter what. So we'll just come around, I guess, from the backside. Look at that beautiful sun hit that canna leaf. Isn't that gorgeous? So there we go, guys. Remember about tropicals, check your location. Check your zone area and see what you can and cannot keep out in the winter garden. Most likely, zone 4s, 5s, even 6s. 6s are iffy, so 5 and 4 on down, you have to dig those out and save them. But they will grow again the next year. Your pots that you want to save, you can overwinter them, bring them in, just treat them just like a house plant. And your hardscapes, your bridges, your rock formations, your metal work and all that, add it to your garden. It's a beautiful addition to whatever you want to theme your garden at. So you guys, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on Garden Talk. You guys take care, God bless, and I'll see you next time.